Give me 30 seconds, and I promise you'll learn something new about how AI tools choose which brands to recommend. As a new field, there's lots of hearsay on AI search optimization. So let's start with an actual study of LLM output. Then we can infer some strategies based on the data instead of the hearsay. So this recent study looked at what are called AI fan-out queries. So the different questions that the AI tools generate for their research are called fan-out queries. So for example, if I go on ChatGPT and I say, I'm running a 15-person marketing agency and need a CRM that integrates with HubSpot, has advanced reporting, and costs under $500 per month, what are my best options? So right now, it's going to go look at dozens of different web pages to put all that information together in an answer for you. So it thought for 1 minute and 14 seconds and used 59 sources in less than 2 minutes. So let's take a look at what it did. You can actually click on this thought for in ChatGPT and see its whole thought process, including these fan out searches that it did. So search the web for HubSpot, CRM integrations and pricing, HubSpot pipeline, pricing important features, CRM pricing important features, CRM integrations with HubSpot, Salesforce HubSpot pricing, CRM pricing for agencies, Zoho CRM pricing plans. So this one had 8 fan out queries. I guess it was a more complex question, so it wanted to do some deeper research. Oh, and if you stay tuned to the end, we're giving away free SEO optimized articles just for commenting below on this video. Back to this study. So there were some key takeaways. The first finding was that most queries trigger up to 5 fan outs. Now, the one that I just showed was a little bit of an exception, but you can see the chart right here that most of them are around 2 to 4. That probably has something to do with the complexity of the questions or the prompts that they're putting into it. Basically, what the chat tools are trying to do is get a broad sense of the topic first in order to then kind of condense it and give you the most pertinent and important information. But also it's important to remember that with some queries, fan out searches are not always triggered. So for example, if I did a search for how to use hashtags on Instagram, it basically didn't do any searches. So that means that it's just kind of using what's in its own brain to come up with the answer. So for many of these searches, if the chat tool is going out and doing research on the web, then traditional SEO is still extremely important because you want your website or your content ideally to be one of these sources. These chat tools, their brains, you could say, are retrained every 6 to 12 months. So if you want them to know about your brand, it's important to put out a lot of this content and make sure it's visible to the AI training tools that are crawling the web. Some more takeaways. These fan out queries are largely unpredictable. So you'd think that if you keep asking the same question to a chat tool, it would use the same fan out questions every time. But that's actually not the case to a dramatic extent, actually. It turns out that only 0.6% of keywords consistently appeared across all runs. And 66% of fan out keywords appeared only once. So that means targeting specific individual keywords that you might find in the fan out queries when you're doing searches is not necessarily going to be the best strategy, but instead you want to look at broader themes and topic clusters. And so this is where things like kind of converge back together, is that when they looked in the study at the top 20 results for all these different fan out queries, they found that 84%, so a huge percentage of these fan out queries, share at least one link to the same source, the same page, and 56% share 5 links. So what that means is if you want to target a specific query in these AI search tools, then you want to focus on at least 4 clusters, topic clusters around that topic to be successful and to be cited in the results. So a quick example of what topic clustering or content clustering looks like. So one thing you can do is play the role of your ideal customer and use some of these chat tools and look at their fan out queries and then try to identify trends and patterns. Some of the things that I've noticed so far, especially if you're looking for up-to-date information, the fan out queries will often use the year in the keyword. So, 2025 in this case. So by making sure that your content on your website is always up to date and even including the current year in the page title, it's more likely to rank and then be used by these search tools. Another one is creating content around specific use cases. So for example, in this case, it used my 15 per person agency figure in one of its fan out queries. And in the past, I've also seen it use the specific budget constraint in its own research. So, like a top CRMs for $500 a month or less, for example. So, you don't need to necessarily create a whole web page that's just about that one topic. Imagine creating a page with a section for each of these top CRM software less than $500 a month, top CRM software less than $250 a month, CRM pricing for 10-person teams, top CRM for 15-person teams, top CRM for 50-person teams. We're wanting to create content for all the specific types of queries and use cases, not because humans are necessarily going to be reading it, but because robots are going to be reading and digesting all that content and then summarizing it and spitting it out to your prospective clients. So if you want a little help coming up with some of these content clusters, there's a really cool tool right here you can use. And here we go. So look, it did its own kind of fan out into 4 different clusters. And then from there, there's even further subtopics or questions. And so what you could do is create a separate page on your website for each of these main clusters. And then these would be headings within the article that you could answer all these different questions. And then, of course, doing all the important normal kind of SEO optimization steps as well to try to get these pages to rank well. You'd want to interlink them and have a pillar page that talks about this. So this type of content clustering and focusing on the themes is very likely to increase your exposure and traffic from AI search tools. So I'm Levi at Hog the Web. And if you want a quick start to building your first topic cluster, we're offering 4 free AI SEO optimized articles written and edited just for your brand. All you have to do is comment below to be eligible. Let me know what you thought was interesting or useful in this video. And don't forget to like and subscribe as we continue learning about AI search optimization. Thanks for watching.